Devlogs are ruining indie games. Yeah, I said it. And honestly, there's a good chance it could ruin yours too. But before you sprint to the comments, I'm not saying devlogs are evil or that you shouldn't make them. I mean, I make them myself. All I'm saying is most people are doing them completely wrong, and it's quietly destroying their projects before they even realize it. Have you ever wondered why so many awesome looking devlogs just vanish after a few videos? It's not because the developers are lazy, it's not because the game was a scam, and it's definitely not because they just lost interest. Most of the time, it's because the devlog itself, the thing that was supposed to help, became a trap. A trap that turns your dream project into content first, and the game second. And once that happens, it's almost impossible to come back from it. Honestly, it almost ruined my own game journey too. That's a big part of why I'm making this video. Not just for you, but as a reminder for myself. Because it's way too easy to fall into this without even realizing it. So today I'm going to break down exactly how it happens, why it's way more common than you think, and what you can do to actually make devlogs without nuking your project in the process. So, if devlogs are this dangerous, why do we even bother making them? Well, because when they are done right, devlogs can actually be one of the smartest moves you ever make for your game. Unless you're some kind of marketing genius, which, spoiler alert, I'm not, getting people to actually find your game is one of the hardest parts of indie dev. Devlogs can quietly build hype, build trust, and get people rooting for your project way before it's even done. When you put your progress out there, you're basically getting free playtesters, fresh perspectives, and ideas you might have missed. I've had people point out problems in my systems that I never would have even caught on my own, and sometimes even suggest solutions that ended up making the game way better. And speaking of people, when you know people are waiting to see what you're building, it pushes you to actually keep going, even when the motivation dips. Some of my best bursts of progress came right after I posted a devlog and felt the wave of energy from people getting excited with me. I mean, imagine trying to make a big game, working on it for years, just to drop your finally finished game into the world with nobody even knowing it exists. Pretty brutal, right? When I started making my factory game, I was so excited. I finally felt like I was doing the thing I had wanted to do for years. For the longest time, I kept putting off game development, always finding some excuse, telling myself it wasn't the right time or that I wasn't ready yet. But when I finally started, I didn't just want to quietly chip away at it behind the scenes. I wanted to share that experience with everyone. That first devlog wasn't just about updates, it was a celebration. It was me finally breaking through years of self-doubt and actually chasing the thing I always wanted to make. And somehow, that devlog didn't just inspire me to keep going, it ended up inspiring other people too. Hearing that something I made helped someone else take his first step on their own project, that was surreal. It gave me even more motivation to keep chasing that impossible dream. So, if devlogs have all these benefits, why am I saying they are secretly dangerous? Well, just because something starts off great doesn't mean it will always stay that way. The same devlog that gave me all this motivation to keep going is the very thing that made me question if I should even continue at all. And honestly, I'm glad I caught myself before it was too late. Because when I took a closer look, I realized this pattern happens in so many devlogs I used to watch. Starting with huge plans, full of promise, and then poof, they disappear into the void. So what's the thing I'm talking about? If you're making a game, then you should already know that it's tough. It's fun at first, full of excitement and new ideas, but then reality hits. Bugs start piling up, systems get more complicated than you expected, and you start questioning if it's even worth it. Then you add devlogs into the mix. The pressure to constantly produce something just to keep your devlog alive can hit hard, especially if you're just beginning and don't have enough skills. For me personally, I felt like I had to post at least one devlog every month, and that's not even counting the time it takes to actually develop the game. So basically, I had 1 month to develop content and make a video showing the progress. And that's pretty brutal, especially for someone like myself who doesn't have the required skills to even make a simple game. And speaking of trying to get better and improving your skills, I want to give a huge shout out to Brilliant, who is actually sponsoring this video. Brilliant helps you get smarter every day with thousands of interactive lessons in math, science, programming, data analysis, and AI. What I love about Brilliant is that it's not just sitting there watching lectures while your brain melts. You are actually doing things. Their lessons are built around problem solving, so you're constantly playing with concepts, figuring things out, and building real understanding instead of just memorizing facts. If you're looking to get into coding, Brilliant's newly updated programming courses are an awesome place to start. They focus on building timeless problem-solving skills, teaching you how to break down complex problems into manageable pieces of code, which is basically the core of thinking like a real programmer. You will get hands-on experience designing, debugging, and building programs from day one. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/novacode or scan the QR code on screen, or you can click the link in the description. You will also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Now, back to the video. Everything begins when you make your first devlog. You start feeling like you have to keep showing progress. You think to yourself, I can't leave people hanging, or I need to make sure I'm giving them something new every week. But here's the problem. You are not making the game for you anymore. You are making it for the content. And that's a dangerous shift. And here's where the trap gets worse. You start prioritizing the devlog over the actual game development, spending more time on flashy updates than actually fixing the core gameplay. And before you even know it, the game that you were passionate about starts feeling like a chore. Just something to produce views, likes, and comments. This cycle leads to cutting corners, and while testing mechanics is one of the most important factors for making your game fun, you skip over testing or you rush through parts just to have something to show, resulting in a game that isn't as polished or fun as it could be. And when that happens, it's not long before you burn out. But what happens next? Should you stop making devlogs altogether? Alright, that sounded pretty depressing, but don't worry, this isn't where your story has to end. You shouldn't stop making devlogs. However, you shouldn't make too much to be successful. In fact, there are successful indie games that were made without the pressure of devlogs at all. Take Balatro for example, a game that blew up in the indie scene. Its creator, Local Thunk, never released a single devlog before the game came out. In fact, very few people even know about it. When the developer was asked how they managed to avoid burnout while working on a game for such a long time, the response was eye-opening. It's important to know if you want to make a game or if you want a game to have been made by you. Learn to enjoy the game creation process more than anything else. And honestly, that's the best advice I've ever seen. It's not about the content, the updates, or the devlogs. It's about enjoying the process and focusing on the game itself, the thing you actually want to create. When you learn to love the journey, the game becomes the reward, not the devlog or the views. That's a mindset I wish I had from the start, and I'm glad I figured it out before it was too late. Because burnout doesn't just happen because of how much work you are doing. It also happens when you forget why you even started in the first place. The solution to all of these questions were actually really simple, even though it took me way too long to realize it. You don't need to crank out a devlog every month. You don't need to post just because it's been a while. The devlog should happen when you actually have something you're excited to share, whether that takes days, weeks, or even several months. When you flip the relationship like that, everything changes. The devlog becomes a celebration of your progress, not a deadline you're constantly sprinting towards. If you're excited to show what you've built, that's the best sign that it's the right time to make a devlog. Not the calendar, not YouTube algorithm, your excitement. That's why I decided to do just that with my devlogs. Which unfortunately means they won't be as often, but when they do drop, they will actually matter. I think that's way more exciting. I'd rather show you something I'm proud of, instead of throwing together a video just because it's been a month. And if you're making your own game, I hope you will give yourself that freedom too. Another thing that helped me a ton, and maybe I'm a little biased because I just did this, is making mini games. And instead of taking a full break from game dev, which honestly can make it even harder to come back, I started opening up fresh new projects. No giant pyramid of scripts, no piles of half-finished assets, just a clean slate. And when I say minigames, I don't just mean a small game. I mean something simple and fun you can knock out in a week or two. You're still building skills, still staying sharp, but without all the massive pressure of your main project breathing down your neck. Sometimes you even end up testing out mechanics you have been wanting to try. Things you couldn't fit on your main game. And every minigame you finish levels you up as a developer way faster than just grinding away on a huge project forever. So if you're feeling that pressure building up, if your game is starting to feel more like content than passion, take a step back and remember why you started. Create at your own pace, make stuff you're excited about, and when it's time to share it, you'll feel it. Trust me.